Greetings, everybody. Welcome to Geology. Geology 100 spring of 2023. Hope you're doing well. I want to do a quick intro to basically show the format of the course, how we're going to do this, get the grading policy out there. So please tune in. This is going to be maybe one of the more important individual little bits of video we get. What I like to do, everything's going to be under content. So if you click that right there, you're going to find the stuff I want to cover today, the introduction, important documents. And then below that will be each segment as we go through the course. And I'll show you the schedule for that right here in a moment. But maybe we'll look at, here's the one from the fall, just so you see what it will look like as we get cranking here. The segments will all be individually labeled over here on the left in content. You click that one, you'll get that stuff. And what the first thing will be in each segment is the survival guide for that segment. So you can get all of the tasks for that 1 to 3 weeks right there by clicking that. All right. So you'll see those as we get going. Should be no big deal. Today, let's focus on, and I'll come back to our course, the introduction and important documents. So probably the most critical one is the course schedule to keep yourself organized here. Here's how the whole entire term is going to be laid out. So print this, stick it to something, program these dates into your phone, whatever it works to keep you organized here. Because once we get past one, we're not going back and fixing old work. This work's going to happen in these time periods, and that's it. Brightspace, I don't necessarily program Brightspace to alert you that there's a quiz. This is your notification. Here's all of the quizzes. They're all roughly going to follow the same format, and you'll get used to it. They're going to be between 1 and 3 weeks. So the first one's going to be 2 weeks. It'll be those chapters. And basically the last Thursday, Friday of each segment is when I like to have the quiz open. So for Intro and Earth History, we go from January 23rd today to February 3rd. The last 2 days will be the quiz. And then the weekend and the next Monday we'll move on to segment 2, plate tectonics. That one's 3 weeks. And then towards the end of that, quiz, and so on. The one that's a little odd is rocks and minerals because spring break interrupts us. So I said 2 to 3 weeks here, kind of depending on if you do work over spring break or not. The quiz, what I decided to do with the quiz was to have it open right when you get back from spring break. So this is 2 full weeks leading up to spring break to work all of these chapters. And it's a decent amount of stuff. Then you go on break, then you come back. That week when you come back, that's going to be when it's kind of the 1 week where our format gets a little odd. The quiz will be open for rocks and minerals that Monday, Tuesday, the 20th and 21st. And then we got a midterm that will encompass everything we've done so far on the Wednesday and Thursday of that week. Friday, my midterm grades are due. So once you guys finish that, the cutoff will be 11:59 at night on Thursday night. I can punch the grades in for the midterms Friday morning. Then the second half of the course, we'll go back to what you're used to. Surface processes is a pretty big one. That's 3 weeks long. Quiz of the last Thursday and Friday. And then we do a couple of shorter ones right in a row. And if you, these are tailored to the amount of content that's in there. So if you say, well, what the heck? Why is it all of a sudden 1 week, 1 week, 1 week? Well, it's a lot less stuff in each one of these. So you'll be okay. If you've made it this far and you're tuning in, don't get intimidated by things being 1 week. You'll do great. And segment 7 also, we're going to talk about structures, but it also lets us review some of the course, some of the ideas that are in there. Gives us good review for the final. And then finals week, I'll have the final open through probably about 3 or 4 of the days during final week. I'll have it open for that chunk, and you can just do it at whatever point you're free during finals week. All right, sound good? So that gives us 7 quizzes. Now let's talk about quizzes by going back to the syllabus right here. I'll come back to this stuff, but let's go to this section of the segment quizzes. Read it carefully, please. This is going to be like the rules we have for doing these things. And in particular, this one, the lowest quiz will be dropped. So this is intended to take care of like all of the things that could possibly go wrong. And these are all my excuses that I've gotten through the years. I add a few more each term. which I understand it happens. So if you manage to make it through the whole course and get all 7 quizzes done, the lowest one's going to get dropped. If during that time one of these things happens or something new, then you're going to get a 0 on that quiz, but the lowest gets dropped. So that won't count against you. It's all good. It's once you start to miss your second, if you miss a second quiz, that's when your grade is going to start to take damage from it. Okay, so you get 1 freebie, and that's the for everybody kind of thing for all the scenarios. People that email and say this happened, that happened, the other thing. It's like I can't say like that situation sounds fair and that other one doesn't. It's just how about everybody gets the same set of rules, everybody gets 1 drop, and that's the best we can do. Okay. And then the other thing I'll point out in here, I say it somewhere, that people that get in touch with me ahead of time and say, I don't think I wrote it in here somewhere. Yeah, there it is. If you reach out to me ahead of time, then those people generally have good things to say about me. Like I'll work with you or something. If you say, oh, I've got a wedding on that specific date 2 months down the road because I know it, then okay, let's figure something out. If you come back a month later and say, oh, I had a wedding back then, those people tend not to like me as much and they leave kind of rough reports. But that's why I'm throwing this all out there at the beginning. Here's how we're going to do it. Okay. I teach high schooler science, so I'm on email all day long, but it's tough for me to necessarily meet during the day. I would meet with students occasionally on my way home. I drive through Oswego on the way home. And if you want to meet, or we can do Google Meets if that helps. And I offered, we did this with the lab, but nobody in the class took me up on it. If you wanted to do some kind of like live review before the midterm or the final, we could think about it. But other than that, the course is going to be asymmetric. You will just work through these segments at your own pace through those 3 weeks or 2 weeks or 1 week that it's open, and do the quiz within that time frame without any set. We all have to meet here at this moment online. All right, so stick to that course schedule, keep in contact, and we'll be in good shape. All right, textbooks here. It's pretty good. It's free. It's online. When I do the videos, you're going to see that I instead of going right to this, I do this download PDF page. I think the PDF ones are just easier to look at. So when it's time for igneous rocks, we'll pop that one open. And when I'm doing like the video, that would be the lecture. This is what I'll be looking at in the video. And it's a decent book, and the price is right. So yeah, that should do it. I guess we should do the grading policy. So 10% is on discussions. I ended up with only maybe 3 or 4 of them throughout the past term. So there will be an intro one in the first module and a couple other ones as we go. 60% is on the segment quizzes. So we have 7 of them and 1 gets dropped. So basically you can kind of think in your head that each one of those represents about 10% of your grade, each one of the top 6 that you're going to do. And then the midterm and the final will be the other 30%. And today we'll say it's split evenly, though last term I did like a slightly heavier one towards whichever one you did better on. We can talk about that later in the term, though. Let's see how everybody does. And so please make sure that you don't miss that midterm. That's the one that really gets rough. Get that date down, and we'll be in good shape. So why are we here? Let's get away from all these rules. Why learn geology? So, I mean, yes, I'm into this. This is like the lens that I look through every day as I'm driving around, as I'm living my life, as I'm engaging in my hobbies. It's kind of how I look at the world, is through this geologic lens. And so we're going to hope to share some of that with everybody and get to understanding that we humans live a preposterously short lifespan compared to the history of the planet. And that even just our lives, even like generationally, even if we go back through our whole family tree, it's a very, very, very short amount of time considering how long that the planet has been here. So how can we use that perspective to inform not only how we see the world, but maybe decisions we've got to make, policy decisions? Think about cities that are where you've seen natural disasters. How can we understand those? Like, what are the rules? How do we get how that works so that as we try to move this civilization forward sustainably, we can do it with the idea that there's going to be earthquakes on the West Coast. The tectonic setting there means there's going to be earthquakes, right? There has been in the past. There will be some in the future. What are the rules with how rivers deposit and erode sediment? So we built a city called New Orleans there. How does that work within that delta system? And how do we understand it sustainably going forward? it's no one ever consults geologists when cities were being established to say, is it a good idea to put a city here? Because if there was a geologist standing there at San Francisco, we'd say, no, bad idea here, right? There's multiple scenarios that lead to this being a dangerous place to put a city, as they found out with several disasters they've had there. But now that the city has developed there for economic reasons, for the port, for resources that are nearby, the cities kind of blow up, right? Now they're there. So how can we understand that tectonic setting and use that understanding to consider our place within all of this? So yeah, I hope you enjoy it. And we'll talk to you soon. If you have any questions, shoot me an email. Thanks, everybody. Good luck.